Chapter 24 The Beginning of the End, Part 2. The message from Nakuli spread far and wide, and it reached the ears of the emperor. Now was the time, as the emperor smiled at her arch-rival's defeat, to go forth once more to battle, to oversee Damien's destruction firsthand. The emperor, Akari Urka gives a speech to all of her Bilderon generals and the leaders. Akari, the time we have waited for has come. The last of our enemies shall be crushed here and now. We have let them run free for far too long. Now is the time to end the elders and all others foolish enough to challenge us to war, my fellow Bilderon, and to victory. All boo as they cheered and shouted. The entire Bilderon main force was on its way to the dimensions as Damien's defeat. The shield he had held with his power to keep them out was at last gone. Here is the list of the main Bilderon forces. First off, for the Kalbani, we have Mashada Rev. She is 75 years old, the leader of the Kalbani, and the greatest fighter in the universe. Bryce Rev, 78, Kalbani army commander and a prime. Stefan, 68, a Madonian, but fights for the Bilderon and is close to the Kalbani. Hysene, 33, a Kalbani commando. LG Great, 29, a Kalbani officer. For the Patelakon, we have Befa, 75, Lord of the Patelakon, and a very tough woman. Francine Abaco, Silver Commander of the Patelakon. Tobias, 92, Patelakon Fleet Commander. Takeda, the one-eyed Shora Commander, who created the combined gold and silver ship, the Kabani. She is stone cold after losing her close deputy and friend in the last war. Edward L., 19, a new recruit with a big heart. He is a silver Patelakon. Marcy, 23, a new Bashor Patelakon officer who looks up to Sakeda. Sia, 21, a Patelakon warrior with the girl power to fight. She is a silver Patelakon. Wei, 24, a giant golden man officer. Cyborg Punk, 18, is a special officer of the Patelakon as he is the top scientist as well. Grand 8, 25, an elite silver officer. For the Bipple, we have Thomas Bipple, the lord of the Bipple, father of the successor Koki, and the husband of the emperor. Dean, 39, head scientist of Bipple. Yun, 19, a young and upcoming warrior. For the scene, we have the androids X-15, the first android, Blaster Dread, a warrior android, and Z Edu, the last of Dean's creations of war. For the Urka, we have Asuke, 95, aging very slowly for his age, his master of card magic, and Ida, his friend, are the two last warriors from the Third Great War era still in service. Ida, 89, chief officer of the Urka. Her slow aging allows her to still serve her people and her emperor. Nikita, 58, the well-built Urka officer who fights for her people. Frederick, 47, under Nikita's command, Frederick fights to protect the future of the Urka. And lastly, we have the Emperor herself, Akari Urka-Seen, 75 years old. She is not named by her name until the end. She is addressed as the Emperor, as she is the strongest person in all of the universe, and her prime powers are unrivaled. Meanwhile, a certain leader in the dimensions, who was until now quiet, is now growing restless and desperate as the end was drawing near. The leader of the Baja and the UDN, and the rival to Damien, Kiban, was pissed, but he was defeated. He vowed to be the one to take the issue, as it now had no leader. Mean advised against it, as they still had an unspoken alliance with the elders, and that they would need them to fend off the Manaka. Iban explained that he was doing this solely to fight the Manaka army. If the UDN could get the elders to submit to them, then the Americans would think twice before coming after them again. Because Kiban had more say in the UDN than the old Wayne, the UDN went to war with the elders. Much to the dissatisfaction of Wayne, the elders were in panic state as their leader was not only defeated but was now missing. Many of their allies spread across the dimensions to look for him. This in turn made the Nishu very empty. Thus, this was the prime time to attack her. The battle begins. Iban and his wife, Kendra, Tropicure leaders, Chavez, Chev, and Florica, and encounter Dreda's army, Commando, Bravia, took a large force to capture Lishu once and for all. For the elders, Norman Alban and April of the Pinta, the intense fighter Eliezer Warren, and the devotee Gideon Sintek was stationed in Nishu. For them, they wanted to go look for Damien too, with the others, but they were told by Joshua Mara to hold Elishu until at all costs. April saw the Union army coming and thought they were coming to help them out, as she was told that they were allies. However, Gideon would have heard something from their friend Wayne about this. By now, he learned nothing and heard nothing, and it was Kiban himself leading this massive army. Gideon then realized the danger and told Naaman and Elza to go to the front with their armies and defend. April then got to the people away as the war for Elishu was on. Commander Brinfer ordered heavy firepower at Elishu's gates. Naaman and Eliezer fended off the missiles and cannons. The Tropical trio snuck around to capture the people in the city to hold them hostage, but April was there to show off her skills to some real foes. As for the main larger unit, Kiban and Kendra used the fighting to take all of Erythra from right under the elders' noses. Now they were marching to the center to take the east and west wings of Ishu, will then be lost. Now, in the complex situation, Gideon prayed to God of heaven for a miracle. Then one came in the form of a mighty earthquake. It shook all of Ishu to its core. Then all of Erythra was turned into mountains, as the buildings and terrain crashed all around the advancing army. The Baja army was crushed. Kiban used his skills to grab his wife and jumped over and under the moving rocks, trees, and buildings to survive. Kendra then passed out in all the chaos. The middle hall of the issue was reduced to one single road to the center as a deep cavern was exposed and filled with water. The east and west wings remained the same, as the southern areas were now lush farmland and forest. Kiban then made it to the center, and he gave his wife to a surviving soldier to take her to safety as he fought. Gideon, seeing Kiban still didn't have enough, asked Naaman and Eliezer to bring down his boot for good. So the three men to face Kiban in the center. At the end of the battle, the issue was changed forever as the elders stood tall at the end. With this defeat, the Urian's strength was cut in half, and the strongest man was now in a coma. Now it was the UDN who was now ripe for attack. Sometime later, in the Manican home country, Sekanda Johnson was talking to her lord's sister, Biana Manica. Sekanda explained that as her brother and others are focused on the bank run, they now had a chance to take the UDN. While they are down, Biana was unsure as she wanted to take such a grand prize alongside her brother. Sekindra then advised her that she was a leader in her own brother's army for a reason, and that reason was to lead armies to victory. She also painted her a picture of how powerful the Monica could be if it took only one of their family members to conquer a grand power like the UDN. Certainly, this would strike fear and respect to all of their foes and rivals alike across the dimensions and beyond. Brianna was moved by the thought of being equal to her brother in conquest, and what better way to do this than to capture the UDN for him? The battles begin. The UDN campaign was finally underway as the march to Baja capital, the HQ of the UDN, was on. The American forces would split in two. One would be led by Trez Thompson and his forces. They consisted of Harry, Cisco Mean, Sowell, and George Thompson. They faced the outer UDN nation's defenses of Imisu. Sioux led with him Yana forces of Kala and Bergeron, and Hanenza, and the three tropical brothers, Samitra, Grandfana, and Fusi, and the Electrado twins, Yas and Jens, and Selena. The Mannequin used brain and might to overcome the military divide of the Union Army. Soon all the leaders of these nations, and Imi himself, were captured, and Trez and his might, and the brains of George Thompson. The last battle. The Edo Republic, Mythology, and the state of Baja united for their last stand against the Mannequin forces. Word of Imi's defeat shook them to the core. However, Hibana motivated her armies to fight on, as she was strong in her own right. Hibana, Darian, the Prime Minister of the Mythology, Blake, the Deputy Prime Minister, Lewin, the top general of Mythology, President Moffett, and First Lady Elise of the Edo Republic made their last stand at the Baja capital. Brianna, Sekindra, Balfour, Loeb, Maya Lukaya, and Cisco Sis, Chantel Wilson, Shanice, and the Serious Soul marched on. They followed Brianna and Sekindra's orders, as this war was their biggest yet. Brianna told her forces to be brave and follow Thompson's example and win. Hibana did likewise and told her forces not to give up on hope, and the fight was on. The battle was intense, as each side gave it their all. They kind of felt as though the enemy was waiting on something. So she left Brianna's side for now and went to the rooftops, where she saw the enemy reinforcements approaching from the side streets. They were being led by the Edo party founders, Charles and Siwa. Sekindra knew the enemy had home advantage, so she decided to attack them from above with arrows and gunfire. They stopped the advancing enemy on their tracks. Hibana then realized that her plan was found out and foiled, so she then moved, like her father, to go to the front. When she got to the front, the Manaka army was starting to lose. Her might was more closer to her father than ever before. Brianna knew that the fate of this battle was to be picked by Hibana's or her defeat. So she challenged Hibana to do it, winner takes all. Hibana accepted and went for a heavy showdown. And when they clashed, it produced a heavy shockwave. Brianna dodged it, and then went for a sword slash wave of her own, which Hibana blocked with her bare hands. Then everyone stopped fighting and watched these two women fight. Then Hibana was going for a hard punch. Brianna blocked it with her sword, but it flew out of her hands. Then instead of backing down, Brianna went for Hibana with her own hands. This impressed Hibana, as she thought the mannequins only fought with their swords and weapons. Brianna then told her that she still had much to learn. Then she caught Hibana off guard and forced her to the ground. And then her hand was to Hibana's heart, ready to rip it out of her. Brianna stopped, as like her brother, she was fought for the name of the people. Next, Sakanda, seeing that the battle was over, then said to Omri, was 10 times stronger than his sister, and led a more powerful force. If they were crushed by them, how would they fare against the rest of the Mannequin army? Sakanda did this not to put Brianna down, as she respected her, but to show the UDN that they had no chance against the Mannequin Empire. And so, all they could do was to surrender to their most hated foes.